The galaxy was not as young as the empires believed. Stars had burned for billions of years, civilizations had risen and fallen, and countless ruins drifted in the dark. Yet the proud rulers of the present thought themselves eternal. They looked at the stars and said, "We are the first. We are the masters of this age." They never asked what had come before. They never thought of who might still remain. Far away, in the edge of forgotten space, an exploration ship moved silently. Its crew was bored. For months they had scanned lifeless rocks and dead suns. Their empire demanded charts, maps, and mineral reports, nothing more. Nobody expected surprises here. This region was called the Hollow Sector, a place where no ships traveled, where no colonies grew. Empty, silent, safe, until the scanners began to scream. At first it was only static, a faint pattern hidden in the noise of the stars. The young officer at the console adjusted the filters, and then his hands froze. A pulse emerged, steady like a heartbeat. A signal. "Captain, I think we found something." The bridge fell silent. The captain, an old alien with scars across his jaw, leaned forward. He expected another broken transmission from some forgotten probe. But the data said otherwise. The signal was ancient, so ancient the computer could not measure its true age. It had been traveling through space for thousands, maybe tens of thousands of years. The crew leaned closer as the speakers hissed. The static cleared, and a voice whispered out, "Open your eyes." The officer's throat went dry. That was a voice. They waited. Another burst of static. Then again, clearer this time. "We are still here." The words chilled the room. The captain frowned. "Translate." "No need," the officer said slowly. His eyes were wide. "It's in old human tongue." The crew exchanged looks. None of them had ever seen a human. In school, they were taught humans were nothing more than a failed species. Records said they destroyed themselves on their own home world long before the great empires expanded. At best, they were a myth, a story to frighten children. And yet the voice was real, calm, patient, old as stone. "We are still here." The crew felt unease coil in their stomachs. If this was truly human, then history was a lie. The captain gave a single command. "Find the source." Engines flared, and the ship descended toward a barren world below. It was a desert, winds howling across endless plains of dust. From above it looked dead, cracked, forgotten. But the scanners disagreed. Deep under the surface, buried beneath layers of stone, lay a vast structure. Their ship landed in the storm. The crew stepped out into the howling wind, their suits glowing faintly against the darkness. They moved across the sand until one officer stumbled and fell against something solid. He brushed away the dirt and froze. It was metal. A door. The captain brushed the sand away with his gloved hand. Strange lines carved across its surface, glowing faintly as if recognizing his touch. At the center was a symbol, 2 lines crossing inside a circle. None of the aliens knew its meaning, but it burned into their minds like fire. The ground rumbled. The door trembled. Slowly, with a groan that shook the valley, it began to open. Darkness poured out, heavy and cold. The crew raised their lights and stepped inside. The tunnel was vast, its walls lined with machines older than their empire itself. Strange blue lights flickered weakly, refusing to die. They walked deeper, their footsteps echoing. Ahead lay a chamber so large it seemed built for giants. Statues lined the walls, figures of humans clad in strange armor, their faces stern, their eyes carved from crystal. The young officer shivered. "It feels like they're watching us." At the center of the chamber stood a tall console. Its surface was cracked, but alive with faint light. As the captain touched it, the static in their comms cleared. The voice returned, now loud, now undeniable. "To those who come after, listen well. We were here before your empires. We built paths you walk today. We are not gone. We are only waiting. We are the ancient ones. And when the stars call, we will rise again." The chamber shook as the message echoed. The crew staggered back, fear in their eyes. The galaxy had told them humans were weak, primitive, extinct. But this was no weakness. This was power wrapped in silence, waiting for the right moment. The captain whispered, almost to himself, "If this is true, if humans still exist." No one finished the thought, but all of them felt the same dread. If humans were the ancient ones, then every empire was nothing more than a child playing in their shadow. The signal kept repeating, "We are still here," and for the first time in centuries the galaxy trembled. The discovery of the ancient chamber spread like wildfire. The exploration crew tried to keep it secret, but secrets never last in the galaxy. Their reports were intercepted, fragments of the human voice leaked, and soon whispers ran across the great trade routes. Humans are not gone. Humans were here before us. Humans are the ancients. At first, leaders of the alien empires laughed. Impossible, they said. Humans were a mistake, a primitive race that died long ago. But deep inside, they felt unease. The recordings were too clear. The signal was too strong. In the Grand Council Hall, where the galaxy's rulers gathered, the debate raged. An elder of the Siraki Empire slammed his claw against the table. "This is nothing but a trick. An old machine, left behind by some forgotten species. Humans were never powerful. They never left their world." But a scholar from the Varan Alliance stood and lifted a thin data slate. Her voice shook as she spoke. "I have searched our archives. The signal's code is older than any known civilization. It is not Varan, not Siraki, not any of the starborn empires. Predates them all. And the language, it matches the lost records of Earth." The humans spoke this tongue. The hall grew silent. If this was true, then history itself was a lie. The council ordered a secret team of scholars to investigate further. Across the galaxy, old ruins were re-examined, forgotten data vaults reopened, and everywhere, the same strange signs appeared. Symbols carved into stone, machines older than time, patterns in the stars, all pointing back to one truth: humans were here first. In one system, explorers found broken rings orbiting a gas giant, ancient space stations, their design strangely familiar. In another, they discovered underground vaults on frozen moons, still humming with human energy. And on distant colony worlds, they uncovered fragments of stories passed down through generations, legends of tall, fire-eyed beings who came before the empires. The galaxy had dismissed these stories as myths. Now they looked like warnings. Fear began to spread. If humans were the ancients, then where were they now? Sleeping? Hiding? Watching? On a quiet night, in the great city of Alvari Prime, an old historian spoke to her students. "Children," she said softly, "do you know why our histories begin suddenly? Why our ancestors say they woke beneath the stars with no clear origin? It is because we were guided. We were not the first. The paths of our people were laid by others, perhaps by humans." The students listened in silence, their young eyes wide with fear. Meanwhile, on the barren desert world where the first signal had been found, the exploration crew returned with reinforcements. They dug deeper into the underground tunnels, unlocking door after door. What they saw filled them with awe and dread. Giant halls filled with machines slumbered in silence. Cylinders stood in long rows, their glass cracked and dark, but traces of life support systems remained. It looked like a sleeping army, waiting for someone to wake them. The captain touched one of the empty cylinders and whispered, "How many were here? Thousands? Millions?" One officer's voice trembled. "If they wake, none of our fleets can stop them." The captain did not answer. He only stared at the old human symbol carved into the wall, a circle crossed by two lines. It felt less like art and more like a brand, burned into stone to say, "We were here first." Back in the council, panic grew. Some rulers demanded preparation for war. Others said it was too late for war, that the only hope was alliance. One brave ambassador spoke, "Do you not see? If humans are truly the ancients, then we are children compared to them. Fighting them will be like insects fighting fire." But another shouted back, "Better to fight than to kneel." The galaxy split between fear and pride. While they argued, the signal continued to echo from the desert world. Day after day, it repeated the same words, never changing, never fading. We are still here. And then, something new happened. The signal spread. Across distant systems, on ruined worlds, other signals awoke. Weak, faint, but real. They all carried the same message in human voice, across every corner of the galaxy. It was no longer one voice. It was many. We are still here. We are still here. We are still here. The rulers of the galaxy trembled. The buried truth could no longer be denied. Humans were not gone. Humans had not been destroyed. They had been waiting. And soon the galaxy would learn what for. The galaxy was restless. Every council, every empire, every street market buzzed with the same whisper. Humans are not gone. Humans are the ancients. But words were only shadows. Proof was still needed. Proof that would soon arrive. On the desert world where the first signal was found, the excavation continued. The alien crew, now joined by soldiers and scholars, dug deeper into the underground ruins. They expected more machines, more carvings, more echoes of the past. What they did not expect was life. One stormy night, as lightning tore across the sky, the scanners detected a strange pulse deep below. It was not the signal. It was something stronger. A rhythm, steady and alive. A heartbeat. The captain stared at the screen. That's impossible. Yet the sound continued. Slow, powerful, patient. The excavation team pushed deeper into the tunnels, until they reached a vast hall sealed by a heavy gate. Strange markings ran across its surface, glowing faintly as if touched by fire. Unlike the other doors, this one resisted all attempts to open it. The soldiers placed charges against the gate, but before they could ignite, the markings flared bright. The stone groaned, the air grew heavy, and the massive doors opened on their own. Beyond lay rows of tall cylinders, each filled with strange mist. Most were cracked and empty, but one still glowed faintly blue. Inside, a shadow moved. The crew froze. It was a figure, a shape, a human. The captain's voice shook. Wake the scholars. Record everything. No one touches it until we know. But the decision was not theirs to make. The cylinder hissed, steam flooding the chamber. The glass slid open, and the figure stepped forward. He was tall, taller than any of the aliens present. His skin was pale from endless sleep, his eyes sharp and burning like cold fire. He wore no armor, no weapon, yet every soldier in the hall felt their knees weaken. He looked around slowly, as if judging each of them, as if measuring their worth. When he spoke, his voice was deep, steady, and terrifying in its calm. How long have I slept? No one answered. Fear held their throats closed. The human stepped down from the cylinder, his bare feet echoing on the stone floor. He placed a hand on one of the broken machines, and to everyone's shock, the machine flickered to life. Symbols glowed across its surface, alive again under his touch. Your empires still live, the human said, his voice carrying across the hall. The galaxy did not burn to ash. Good. Finally, the captain gathered the courage to speak. Who are you? The human's gaze turned to him, sharp as a blade. I am a guardian, one of many. We were left behind to sleep, to wait, to awaken when the stars were ready. The words fell heavy in the chamber. A guardian? One of many? The human's eyes glowed faintly, as if reflecting light no one else could see. He raised his hand, and the consoles around the room flared to life. Ancient maps filled the walls, showing stars, routes, and symbols unknown to any living species. These are the paths we built, he said. You call them trade lanes. You think your ancestors discovered them. You are wrong. We laid them before your people could even dream of fire. The soldiers exchanged frightened looks. Everything they knew, every story of their civilizations was breaking apart. The guardian studied them in silence. Finally, he asked, Do you serve the council? The captain hesitated. Yes, we serve the Grand Council of the Galaxy. The human gave a small, cold smile. Children ruling a playground. The council was not the first. Nor will it be the last. He stepped closer, his presence heavy, his voice quiet but sharper than thunder. Tell your masters this. Humanity never vanished. We chose silence. We chose sleep. And now we rise again. The crew's fear turned into terror. If this was only one man, what would happen if more awoke? As if reading their thoughts, the human placed his hand on another cylinder. It flickered, then died. His face grew hard. Most are gone. Time has stolen them. But some of us remain. Enough. He turned toward the exit, walking as if the place belonged to him, as if the galaxy still belonged to him. The soldiers stepped back, none daring to block his path. When he reached the storm outside, lightning cracked across the sky. He looked upward, his eyes reflecting the light. They have forgotten us, he murmured. But they will remember soon. The captain's crew recorded every word, every step. When the reports reached the Grand Council, chaos exploded. Some shouted for war. Destroy him before more awaken. Others whispered for peace. If one man can command such power, what will an army do? But all agreed on one truth. The galaxy was no longer theirs alone. Somewhere in the shadows of forgotten worlds, humanity was stirring. And the first guardian had already walked into the light. The guardian's awakening was no longer a secret. The council tried to bury the reports, but information in the galaxy spread faster than any fleet. Traders whispered it in docking bays, smugglers carried it through the shadows, and even children repeated the words in the streets. A human has awakened. He called himself a guardian. He said humanity will rise again. Fear became a storm. Some empires ordered their fleets to prepare for war. Others quietly sent envoys, hoping to reach the human before rivals did. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's rulers were united in one thing. They could no longer ignore humanity. The journey begins. On the desert world, the guardian walked across the sands like he had never been asleep. His steps were steady, his eyes always searching the sky. Behind him, the alien captain and his crew followed at a distance, afraid to lose him, more afraid to get too close. When the guardian spoke, it was not to them, but to the stars. The galaxy is older than you believe. Civilizations rise, fall, and vanish like dust. But humans, we learn to endure. We hid when the galaxy turned savage. We waited for the right moment. The captain finally asked, his voice weak, "And now? Why wake now?" The guardian turned, and for the first time, his expression softened. Because the galaxy is breaking. I can feel it. Wars, corruption, hunger. The children are eating each other. If humanity does not rise, all will fall. Arrival at the council. The council demanded to see him. They ordered the captain to bring the guardian before them, alive and unharmed. The captain obeyed, though his heart trembled. The guardian stepped aboard their ship without hesitation. He looked at the walls, at the alien design, and smiled faintly. "You built well," he said, "but your ships carry shadows of our designs." He tapped the hull, and for a brief moment, the ship's lights flickered as if obeying him. When they arrived at the Grand Council station, the galaxy's leaders gathered in secret. The hall was filled with voices, claws, wings, and scales. Each species brought their rulers, their guards, and their fears. They expected a monster, a god, or a demon. Instead, they saw a man. Tall, silent, calm. No armor, no weapon. Only his presence. Yet the moment he entered, the hall fell silent. Even the proud Siraki warlords lowered their eyes. The conversation. The high speaker of the council, a being with shimmering wings, addressed him first. "Human, if you are truly what you claim, then tell us, why have you returned? Do you seek conquest?" The guardian's gaze swept across the hall. "Conquest?" He almost laughed. "No. If humanity wished conquest, your stars would already be ash. We shaped the roads you walk, the machines you use, the paths you trade. We guided you long ago. Conquest was never our purpose." The hall murmured with unease. Some rulers leaned forward, curious. Others tightened their fists in fear. "Then what do you want?" the High Speaker demanded. The Guardian's voice was steady, deep, and final. "To remind you, to restore balance, to stand as guardians once more." Division among the rulers. Not all accepted his words. A Saraki general rose, his armored form towering. "Lies!" he roared. "You are a relic, nothing more. Your kind is dead. We rule now." The Guardian looked at him, unblinking. "Do you?" The general sneered, raising a plasma blade. "If you are truly ancient, then fight. Show us your power." Gasps filled the hall. No one challenged a speaker here. Yet the Guardian only stepped forward calmly. The general swung his blade, its energy hissing. But before it struck, the weapon went dark. The blade powered down as if refusing to harm its true master. The general stumbled back in shock. The Guardian's voice was cold. "Your weapons are children of ours. They remember their creators." Silence followed. Fear wrapped around the room like chains. A new choice. Some rulers knelt, lowering their heads. "If you are the ancient ones, then guide us again," one whispered. Others growled in anger. "This is trickery. We will not kneel to ghosts." The council was divided, voices rising, unity shattering. Through it all, the Guardian stood still, his eyes on the stars beyond the glass ceiling. "I did not come to rule," he said softly. "But the galaxy is broken. You must choose. Stand with humanity, or stand against it." His words fell heavy. No threats, no promises. Only truth. The first step. That night, as the council argued endlessly, the Guardian left their hall and walked alone through the vast station. Everywhere he went, beings stopped and stared. Some touched the ground as he passed. Others spat in fear. Yet the whispers spread. "He is real. The ancient ones walk again. The galaxy will never be the same." The Guardian paused at a viewport, watching fleets drift in the distance. His reflection stared back at him, one man, but not alone. He knew others would awaken. Perhaps soon. Perhaps already. He whispered to the stars. "The children are afraid. They should be. For the dawn is coming." The council chamber had barely settled after the Guardian's visit when the storm began. Word could not be contained. No matter how hard the rulers tried, the truth bled into every corner of the galaxy. The message traveled faster than any fleet. The ancient ones are back. A human walks among us. He is not the last. Fear in the streets. On distant colony worlds, traders argued in markets. Some laughed nervously, calling it a hoax. But others whispered stories their grandparents once told. Old legends of humans who shaped the stars and vanished. Children played games in the alleys, pretending to be the sleeping humans who could turn off weapons with a glance. Mothers pulled them close, warning them to stay silent, because in these times, even words could be dangerous. On mining stations, workers stopped their drills, staring at the stars with unease. "If the stories are true," one miner said, "then all our lives belong to them. We've been living in their galaxy all along." Panic among the rulers. In the halls of power, fear turned sharper. The Saraki Empire, proud and warlike, declared humans a threat. Their generals gathered fleets, promising to destroy any trace of humanity before more could awaken. Yet their own soldiers whispered doubts. If one human could silence a plasma blade with a thought, what could an army of them do? The Varan Alliance took a different path. Their scholars advised caution. "If humans are the ancients," they said, "we cannot defeat them. Better to bow before them than to be crushed." Already, secret envoys were searching for the Guardian, offering loyalty in exchange for mercy. The council fractured. Some demanded unity against humanity. Others begged for peace. And in the middle of their shouting, the Guardian's words echoed like thunder. "Stand with humanity or stand against it." Strange phenomena. As fear spread, so did something else. Across the galaxy, strange things began to happen. In one system, an alien fleet prepared for war, only for their engines to fail at once. No virus, no sabotage. Just silence, as if the ships refused to move. On a distant moon, children began to dream the same dream. A tall figure standing under strange skies, whispering, "We are still here." In the great libraries of Ulvari Prime, ancient books suddenly revealed hidden symbols when touched. Symbols that matched the human mark, the circle crossed by two lines. These signs fueled the terror. Every empire began to ask, were the humans waking up their old machines? Were they already spreading through the stars? The first riots. Not only the rulers feared, common people panicked too. In the city of Jathra, mobs filled the streets, demanding answers. Did the council hide the humans from us? Are we living under their shadow? Stones were thrown, fires burned, and the soldiers struggled to contain the chaos. On another world, a cult was born overnight. They called themselves the Children of the Ancients. They wore human symbols on their skin and claimed the Guardian would lead them into a new golden age. Thousands joined, ready to fight their own rulers if humanity asked. The galaxy trembled, not because of human fleets or weapons, but because of fear itself. The Guardian's silence. Through it all, the Guardian remained calm. He did not command fleets, he did not demand power. He simply walked, speaking to those who dared approach. His words were simple, but each one spread like fire. To a group of frightened traitors, he said, "Do not fear us. Fear only what your rulers have become." To a soldier who trembled before him, he said, "You are not my enemy unless you choose to be." To a child who asked if more humans were coming, he smiled faintly and answered, "Yes." Every word twisted the galaxy tighter. Some saw hope, others saw doom, war or submission. The Siraki warlords sent a message to the council. "Give us the human, or we will burn your worlds." At the same time, the Varan Alliance sent their own. "Let us ally with the humans, or we will kneel alone." The council splintered. Old alliances broke, and fleets prepared to move. Not against humans, but against each other. One old ambassador whispered, "They have not fired a single shot, and yet humanity is already winning." The spreading signal. Then the greatest fear arrived. Across the galaxy, old machines woke. On forgotten planets, ruins glowed with blue light. More signals erupted into the stars, all speaking the same words in human voice. "We are still here. We are still here. We are still here." The voices came from 100 worlds at once. Not just from one guardian, but from many. The galaxy fell silent. It was no longer a question of if humans would rise. The question now was when. The galaxy could no longer pretend. The signals had spread too far. Across 100 worlds, ancient machines glowed with human voices, repeating the same words again and again. "We are still here." Fear was no longer just whispers. It had become a storm. The council in crisis. The Grand Council tried to meet in secret, but nothing was secret anymore. Their chambers were filled with shouts and threats. "We must destroy them before they rise," the Siraki warlords cried, slamming their fists against the tables. "If even one human can shut down weapons, imagine what an army could do." But others shook their heads in despair. "You cannot fight the storm," said the Varan scholar. "If they built the very roads we travel, then every step you take is already theirs. Do you not see? The galaxy is built on their bones." The council fractured. No agreement came. Some demanded war, others begged for peace, but all felt the same truth pressing on them. Humanity was no longer just history. Humanity was the future. The Guardian's message. While the council argued, the Guardian walked freely across the station. He did not hide, and no soldier dared to stop him. When asked why he was not afraid of assassins or fleets, he only smiled. "Fear is a chain," he said. "We broke our chains long ago." One night, as envoys begged him for alliances, he finally spoke with more weight. His words were recorded and spread across every world. "You have called yourselves rulers, kings, empires. You believe you built the stars with your own hands. But the stars were shaped before you. The roads you walk, the weapons you hold, the machines you worship, they all carry our mark. Humanity is not gone. We are waking. And soon you must decide, stand with us or be swept away. The message traveled across the galaxy faster than fire in dry fields. And with it came both hope and terror. Strange powers. In the days that followed, more phenomena shook the galaxy. In the outer sectors, a Siraki fleet prepared to test new weapons. But as they raised their cannons, the power drained from their ships. Lights went dark, engines died, and the fleet drifted powerless in space. A single word appeared on every screen. Sleep. On a farming colony, children pointed at the sky and said they could hear voices in their dreams. When elders asked what the voices said, the children answered softly, "They are coming home." In the great factories of the Mecher Union, machines that had never broken suddenly stopped, as if waiting. When workers pried them open, they found human symbols carved deep inside, hidden for ages. The galaxy was realizing a terrifying truth. Humanity had left fingerprints everywhere. The first awakening ship. Then came the moment that shattered all doubt. In a dead system far from trade routes, explorers watched in awe as a massive object rose from the darkness of a shattered moon. Dust fell away, revealing metal, vast and scarred by forgotten battles. It was a ship, but not like any ship the galaxy had ever seen. It was older than empires, its hull thick with ancient armor, its size dwarfing fleets. And yet, it moved with grace, as if it had been sleeping and had now opened its eyes. The explorers tried to scan it, but their systems failed. The ship emitted no energy, yet their very hearts shook as it passed. No fleet dared fire on it. No ruler dared claim it. When its comms opened, a human voice filled the stars. The guardians rise. The ancients return. This is the first. Across the galaxy, fear became despair. If one guardian could silence weapons, what could a ship like this do? Reactions across the galaxy. The Siraki demanded immediate war. They began gathering every fleet, calling for holy battle against the ghosts of Earth. The Varen, terrified, sent envoys begging the humans for mercy. Their rulers knelt in secret, offering loyalty before the storm could arrive. The common people, however, began to choose their side. On world after world, murals of human symbols appeared overnight. Some called it rebellion, others worship. In the slums of Ulvari Prime, crowds gathered and chanted in unison. Ancients, guide us. Ancients, save us. The galaxy itself was splitting apart. Empires shaking, people rising, fear and faith twisting into fire. The Guardians warning. The Guardian stood at the viewport of the council station, watching the stars. Behind him, envoys begged, shouted, even threatened him. But he spoke only once. Do not mistake silence for weakness. Do not mistake patience for mercy. We were here before you, and we will be here after. The storm has begun, and you cannot stop the rising tide. His words carried no anger, only truth. And that truth was heavier than any weapon. The rising storm. The council chambers collapsed into chaos. Fleets moved. Armies prepared. But none could deny what they felt in their bones. The humans were not just back. They were waking everywhere. They were rising like a storm across the galaxy. And for the first time in centuries, the rulers of the stars looked at each other and realized they were no longer in control. The galaxy stood on the edge of chaos. Fleets gathered, armies prepared, and rulers shouted in fear. Yet no battle had begun. The humans had not fired a single shot. They had not demanded surrender. Still, every empire trembled. The Guardian's words echoed everywhere. Stand with us, or stand against us. And then the truth arrived. The arrival of the fleet. From the black silence of deep space, more ships awoke. They rose from shattered moons, from dead planets, from drifting wrecks that had seemed like debris for ages. At first, alien scouts thought they were ruins. But the ruins moved. Massive vessels, ancient and scarred, came alive again. Their hulls bore the same human symbol, the circle crossed by two lines. The galaxy's greatest fleets, with thousands of warships, looked small beside them. And yet, the human ships did not attack. They only formed a vast line across the stars, a wall of silence and power. Their presence was enough to paralyze every empire. The gathering at the council. The humans did not send fleets to conquer worlds. Instead, they sent one message to every ruler, every soldier, every citizen. Come, hear the truth. The Grand Council chamber filled as never before. Warlords, kings, merchants, priests. All came, carried by fear, curiosity, or desperate hope. At the center of the chamber, the guardian stood, no longer alone. Around him were others, men and women, each with the same calm fire in their eyes. More guardians had awoken. When they spoke, their voices joined as one, strong and steady. You call yourselves empires. You call yourselves masters of the stars. But before your ancestors crawled from the dirt, humanity walked these skies. The rulers shifted uneasily. Some lowered their heads. Others clenched their fists in denial. The revelation. The guardians raised their hands, and the chamber filled with light. Ancient images unfolded in the air. Humans building the first star roads, weaving safe paths through the chaos of space. Humans teaching fire, farming, and flight to species who barely knew stone tools. Humans fighting wars not to rule, but to protect the balance of life. The images burned into every mind. Humanity had not been weak. Humanity had been the foundation. One guardian spoke softly. We were not destroyed. We chose silence. We saw the galaxy was not ready. So we stepped back, and we slept, watching from the shadows. Another continued. You believed you built your empires, but you walked on roads we left behind. You wielded weapons born from our hands. You lived in a galaxy we shaped. The final words fell like thunder. We were the ancient ones, and you could never see it coming. Division in the hall. The chamber erupted. Some rulers fell to their knees, crying out for guidance. Others shouted in rage, refusing to bow. A Siraki general roared, If you were gods, why hide? Why let us believe the stars were ours? The guardian's gaze was calm. Because children must believe they are grown before they can truly see how small they are. The general's roar died in his throat. The choice. The guardians did not threaten, but their words weighed heavier than any fleet. You must choose, the leader said. Not because we demand it, but because the galaxy itself demands it. The empires are broken. Your greed, your wars, your corruption. It will destroy you all. Humanity rises not to conquer, but to guide. Stand with us, and we will raise you higher. Stand against us, and you will fall by your own hands. The hall was silent. Every ruler felt the truth in their bones. The first kneel. It was not a great empire that moved first. It was a small ruler from a forgotten world at the edge of the stars. He stood, then slowly knelt. My people were lost in darkness for centuries, he said. If the ancients truly return, then I choose to walk under their light. One by one, more rulers followed. Not all. Some still clenched their fists, unwilling to bow. But the balance had shifted. The storm of fear was becoming something else. Hope. The last word. The guardians turned, their eyes burning with quiet fire. We did not return to rule, their leader said. We returned because the galaxy is breaking, and only together can it be saved. He looked around the hall, his gaze piercing every soul. Remember this, humanity is not your enemy, but humanity will not allow the stars to fall into ruin. We are here. We have always been here, and we will be here long after. The dawn. As the council ended, fleets lowered their weapons. Worlds quieted their riots. The galaxy still shook with fear, but also with something new, expectation. For the first time in countless ages, the rulers of the stars felt they were not masters but children again. And the parents had returned. Above the station, the massive human ships drifted silently, watching, waiting. They did not fire. They did not move. They only reminded the galaxy of a truth it could no longer deny. Humanity had been the first. Humanity had returned. And the galaxy would never be the same again.